Yeah, Dave, did you notice on the high five there's audio? There's a, okay, cool. Thanks. Woo! Here we go. Woo! Got a mute to start with for our Facebook friends. What is up, Wes Perkins?
Throughout today's show. I am very tired, sir. Got home late, so really didn't get any sleep. It was more of a nap for me on this one. So I'm here physically. I'm going to be here as best I can mentally, but I can't make any promises, sir.
Now, is it, and I've been there, you know, after like a Vegas trip or like a wild whirlwind weekend, and you got to go to work on Monday, but is it a good kind of tired? Are you happy? You had a great time?
Yeah, it was a successful trip. No regrets, as the kids say. But yeah, I'm definitely older now. And I definitely realized that I didn't prepare myself in college enough. Because there are some rough mornings out there.
Yeah. It's good though. When you have rough mornings like this, it means you are living your life and you were doing great things. And throughout the morning, we'll ask you more about your Vegas trip. I know it's going to be a big part of the Salty Shakedown. Now, Shannon, I come in here like 2 minutes before the show begins. Our good friend, Soundscape Stylist Dave OEHLER, who we thought we had at least until Wednesday. I thought, you thought, we thought we had 3 more shows with Dave OEHLER today, tomorrow, and Wednesday before he packs his stuff and flies to his ancestral homeland of St. Louis, Missouri, where he will now work at fabled radio station KMOX in St. Louis. 2 minutes before the show, he goes, oh, by the way, they audibled on me over at WOAI. This is my last show with you and Shannon. Dave OEHLER, you can't tell us that 2 minutes before the show, dude. We were going to plan something special for Wednesday. We got nothing. We got nothing today for you.
That I'm coming into or leaving the station just as like I came into it with nothing.
With nothing.
No, and I got that news on Friday and I go, oh, great. You know, now, not that I don't like working at OAI, but it's a lot more fun down here.
Wait. You got that news on Friday, and you
Yeah.
tell us 2 minutes before showtime. You didn't email us or text us. Go, oh, by the way, Monday's going to be my last show with you guys.
Well, it's not like I haven't been doing anything over the weekend. I've been kind of busy packing up a house and
Yeah, how long does it take to
coordinating
text? It takes 10 seconds. By the way, my last show's Monday. Send. All right,
Sorry.
fine.
I'll do that next time I quit.
Yeah, do that. We will miss you. We got 2 hours and 45 minutes left with you, and that's it.
Well, we still have some time for some fun.
Well, Shannon, any words? I know you're running on empty, as Jackson Brown would say, but now that you are processing this news that Dave Oehler is leaving us forever after today's show, any thoughts?
I mean, you were like, we didn't have time to plan anything. I'm in no planning mood right now. Dave, I apologize because I would love to savor this moment and savor this show, but right now all I'm thinking about is taking a shower and getting back in bed. So if Chris says 2 hours,
I'm thinking the
45
same
minutes,
thing, and
I
I
say
slept
let's
last
keep the
night.
clock rolling.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. We're down to 2:44 now, Shannon.
Woo!
So Shannon, how much sleep? When did the plane arrive from Vegas in Austin? And when did you get into bed? And how much sleep did you get?
The plane landed late, and I'll get into that during the shakedown as to why we were late. But I got into bed shortly after midnight. So when I say I took a nap, I took a nap.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a nap. On Spurs nights, especially if it's a late night Spurs night, when I walk out of here and then we got to do the show the next morning, the security guard says to me, have a nice nap. See you in a few hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, it ain't pretty. Well, hang in there. I know you're playing hurt, but it hurts so good because you had a weekend in Vegas. Let me just ask you this, and I know I don't want to spoil anything for the Salty Shakedown, but just in a nutshell, one of the things I know you did in Vegas was go see Shania Twain, which I think is a tremendous Vegas viewing option. How was the show? Did it live up to expectations?
Yeah, well, that's just shows how tired I am because the shakedown is about my Vegas trip today, but the reason I went to Vegas is for Shania and she's not involved. So yeah, let's talk some Shania. I didn't realize it. It was her last show of like this stint of the residency. I think she goes back in June, but it was like her last show for that little stint. So it was incredible. The staging, the lighting. I mean, it's crazy what they can do for those residency shows. And she performed all the hits. She sounded great. She had some really nice looking dancers that were fun to watch when I couldn't see her because listen, if it's a slow song, if the artist is sitting, I too am sitting. I'm not going to stand. There were moments where there were people in front of me who were wanting to stand, and that's okay. I'm not going to take that away from them. But I just looked at everything else because they were blocking Shania. Now I will say I don't know if the show was sold out or not, but for the longest time, the row right behind us was completely empty until about 2 minutes before curtain. And then the people who came and sat in that row were right behind my friends and I. Lights go dark. Everyone stands up, including us. And the people who just got there, the people that they were probably holding up the show, waiting for them to arrive, sit down. I'm like, she is about to make her grand entrance. Sit down. Hello. So that was annoying. But other than that, it was a good time. She was great. I'd see her again and again in a heartbeat.
Very cool. Yeah, I just Wikipedia because I was curious how old Shania Twain is. She's 56 years old. By what you're telling me, Shannon, she's still got it. She can still put on a tremendous show.
Oh yeah, the outfits, the dancing, the all of it. It was great.
So in one extended weekend, we go from Shania's last show in Vegas to Dave Oehler's last show. You're kind of the Shania Twain of this radio program today, Dave Oehler. I hope you do a lot of dancing and costume changes.
I don't think there'll be any costume changes, but we could have sold tickets for it. Maybe
we should. You know, if
made
you
a little extra money.
If you would have given us some notice. We would have sold tickets. I did see this, Shannon, and I know you probably saw it as well because I know you were keeping up with social media, even though you were in Vegas all weekend. Austin FC with Matthew McConaughey on board in Q2 Stadium not only beat Cincinnati in their opener,
Crushed.
from a soccer perspective, annihilated them 5-0, or the soccer nerd in me would say 5-0.
Mhm.
My goodness gracious, what a game over the weekend by Austin FC.
You know, I was following along via Twitter and obviously super excited that the season got started. I think I said before I went to Vegas, it was like a 10K to 1 if you put a bet down on them to win the MLS, because they're just not projected to do very well in their second season. But I to be completely honest, I mean, I love the MOC. I love me some Matthew McConaughey. But when I saw the pictures of him at the game on Saturday, I was pissed. I was upset. I was like, he did this last year. He came out with the green suit and the drum and he led the chant, and then he never appeared ever again. He was in like little social media videos, but physically he was never there. And so it kind of felt like, oh, here we go again. He's got let's use this picture of him being here at the opening game in February. Let's use that all season long, because he won't be back.
Well, maybe I'm sure you're not the only Austin FC fan who is making note of that. And here you are now underscoring it on radio in Austin and across Texas, including San Antonio this morning. So hopefully it gets back to him. Hopefully he sees people on social media going, dude, love seeing you on opening day for the second season in a row. How about coming out a little more? So
yeah, I get he's busy. A lot of people are.
Message.
But I mean, there's a lot of home games. There's a lot. There's no way you couldn't squeeze in one or two more when you are an owner of the team. Just saying. Hopefully
that will change this year. So you've got that going on. You've got, and we'll talk about it, a big one tonight. Texas hosting Baylor in men's college basketball. Texas number 20 in the country. Baylor number 10 in the country. Meanwhile, over the weekend, on the next to the last two games, there's one more game tonight of the Rodeo Road Trip for the San Antonio Spurs. They first go into a wild double overtime game that they wind up winning over the weekend at Washington, which was, I believe, like 157 to 153. And then they play a game on the road. So, yeah, it was 157, 153. Then they go to Miami and shouldn't have even been in it because their top three starters and scorers, DeJounte Murray, Keldon Johnson, and Jakob Poeltl, were all out. DeJounte with a knee contusion, Keldon Johnson and Jakob Poeltl with a sore lower back. And yet they fought down to the wire with the Miami Heat, were leading late, and wound up losing to the Miami Heat by 4, 133 to 129. So the bottom line, Shannon, the Spurs, 7 games into the 8-game Rodeo Road Trip, are 4-3. A team that wasn't even close to 500 on the road before the Rodeo Road Trip, and they're still not because of that overall record. But they are 4-3 on this Rodeo Road Trip. If they win tonight at Memphis, and Memphis is great, by the way, it ain't going to be easy. It would be an upset if they do win, but a win tonight, Shannon, and the Spurs will have a 5-3 winning record on the Rodeo Road Trip.
Yeah, so that takes us to our poll question today over on Ticket 760 and AM13 on the Zone Twitter pages, asking the Spurs Rodeo Road Trip will be successful if, and the first option there is, as you mentioned, if they win tonight, they will be 5-3. The other option is they win or lose tonight. We're okay. We're okay at either breaking even or getting just over that 500 line. And finally, it's not successful, win or lose tonight. People expected more. I think, it's easy to say, all right, let's just look at this road trip here. And obviously you want to come out with more wins than you have losses, as you typically do. But looking at the season as a whole, I think the fact that they could break even here, it would be considered a win just as much as getting that extra game and a win tonight. So I my vote goes towards win or lose tonight. It was successful.
Yeah, the Spurs on the road, beginning the Rodeo Road Trip, and let me make sure I get this right. Yeah, they were 9-16 beginning the Rodeo Road Trip. So a team that was 9-16 on the road. if they go 4-4, and I want them to win tonight, I think they can. They're playing really, really well. If they do get the three guys who were out the other night, DeJounte Murray, Keldon Johnson, and Jakob Poeltl, if they get those guys back, I think they can win tonight, even though Ja Morant is a madman. Memphis won at Chicago on Saturday night. Ja Morant went for 43, and we know Chicago with DeMar DeRozan and company have been great this year. So it's going to be tough to beat Memphis in their house at the FedEx Forum, formerly known as the Grindhouse in Memphis tonight. But I think the Spurs have a shot. But I would vote at 4. And if you would have said to me, Shannon, going into this 8-game Rodeo Road Trip when the Spurs were 9-16 on the road, will you take a 4-4 Rodeo Road Trip right now, sight unseen? I would have said, oh, hell yes. Because realistically, I thought, 2-6, maybe 3-5. If 4-4 would be beautiful. 5 and that's why, Shannon, you may see I am wearing my Spurs hard hat, because it'll be hard for the Spurs to win in Memphis tonight and go 5-3 on the Rodeo Road Trip. And there's a second thing that could happen tonight if the Spurs win. I am holding up my St. Gregory Charles of Popovich prayer candle. If the Spurs win tonight, Shannon, Pop will tie his mentor, Don Nelson, for the most regular season wins in NBA history. Pop will share in that record tonight with a victory. So you got two big things tonight if the Spurs can win at Memphis. A winning Rodeo Road Trip, since at least before Kawhi's been here, that has not happened. And then you would have Pop tying Don Nelson and being just one win away from the NBA record of regular season wins. He already has regular season plus postseason combined. This just further establishes Pop as the greatest coach in NBA history, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think we've talked about it a little bit about, that magic number there. And I would hope that it comes on at a home win. So it'd be great for them to get that win tonight, and then for them to come home and add another one. And then obviously the home media get to have fun with Pop. And hopefully, because it's such a milestone, he can have fun with it too. I don't expect him to, but it'd be nice to see.
I hope he does. And even if it's just privately, even if, publicly he won't say it's a big deal, I hope that, he and the players and his coaching staff have a chance to just go have a bottle of wine and enjoy and savor what is a great win. Lots more coming up. The high five play of the day is next. A little bit later, Shannon's salty shakedown, sports history, sports birthdays, and more. If you want to dial us up at any time, including to bid farewell to Dave Oehler, our Soundscape stylist, who dropped bigger than a Woj bomb. He dropped a Dave bomb on us this morning and said this is his last show with us. Phone number 800-707-9760. You can join us, as a lot of people already are. The live video feed on Facebook Live via AM 1300 The Zone and Ticket 760's Facebook page, Twitter page. There's a YouTube way into the live video feed as well. Lots to talk about. Lakers get booed at home while losing by 28 points last night. We'll get into that and a whole lot more. She is Shannon Salty Sweeney, back from Vegas. He is short timer Dave Oehler. I'm Chris, with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. James Rippey, good morning. Robert Browning. Thank you, Robert. And I appreciate the solidarity with Ukraine. The war in Ukraine becomes part of our high five. We'll tell you why here in a moment. Don Haas Holding. Haas, I read on your Facebook that you did not win over the weekend in your wrestling match, but I'm sure, you have had an amazing run so far, an amazing early career. I'm sure you will continue to rock. I'm sure you gave it every effort, and I'm sure there will be happier, bigger days and many, many more victories coming your way. Hector Gomez, Tracy Bogert, what is up? I'm going to go get some coffee. Gabe Quintanilla in here. Good to see you, Gabe. Gabe the Hammer Quintanilla. Yeah, Gabe, I didn't see that earlier, but yeah, Pop, one more to tie. And then Luisa Alanis, welcome in. Luisa's been joining us a lot lately on Facebook Live. James Rippey, John Williams from Dallas. So yeah, one more win and Pop will tie Don Nelson. 2 more wins, and he will not only have regular season, but he will have regular and postseason combined. All right, there you go, Don. Haas Holding. A rematch coming up in a mere 26 days on March 25th. I got a feeling, Haas. You know, I know you don't want to hear this, but, you know, as they say, you can't win them all unless you're the 1972 Miami Dolphins. So I got a feeling you'll come back and win the next one. You're a lot like Rocky Balboa. Rocky never loses 2 in a row. He will come back and avenge a defeat. All right. I'm going to heat my coffee. I will be back in a moment. I will give you a bigger picture of Dave Ohehler because you're not going to see him again on this show after today, which if you're just joining us, okay, what's going on here? Something just freaked out. There we go. Okay. All right. This whole all right, that's what I was trying to do. All right, I'm back in a sec. Woo! James Rippey with the triple coffee emoji. You got to respect that. I got my coffee. James Rippey, thank you. Wow. It's really hot now. I nuked it. The Greg Popovich holy prayer candle. I will light it tonight. It's been lit before, as you can see. In Pop we trust. Just seeing if it would focus. If I moved it in that close, I guess it won't. Thank goodness for coffee. Good morning, Beth Settle. I see you there. You are up early at 6:36. For those of you just joining us, like Beth Settle, Dave Oehler drops the bomb just before the broadcast that this is his final broadcast, which bums me out to no end. We thought it was Wednesday. I was hoping Shannon and I could plan something special for him on Wednesday. We got nothing for him today. We didn't see it coming. So our final 2.5 hours with Dave Oehler. All right. Here we come. I got to do some muting. Welcome back on this final Monday of February 28th. I can't believe tomorrow is the month of March. Certainly the weather does not feel like March. It was 36 degrees when I was driving to work this morning. Had to wear my heavy jacket. I've been saying to myself throughout this cold spell, just make it to March, man. Because it always feels to me that once you make it to March, it's spring is coming, St. Patrick's Day is coming, winter is over. But as of the final day of February, it was still mighty cold out there when we went to work this morning.
Yeah, I'm very much ready for not having to always have a jacket, because that just becomes my MO. And then I'll start to feel like I wear the same thing every day. I'm like, the jacket. I'm ready to be outside too. I'm getting a little pasty. Need to get outside and into that sunlight and have some quality time.
Amen. And of course, for those, if anybody's just tuning in, a couple of things. Shannon did survive Vegas, barely. Got in late last night. In her salty shakedown, she will detail her Vegas trip. We're all looking forward to that. And then right before we go on the air, Dave OEHLER drops a bomb on us, a Woj bomb, that this is it for him. This is his swan song on this show. We've been talking about it. He's going back to his native St. Louis to work at a radio station there. And we thought you were here. Man, Shannon and I on Wednesday, Dave, we had a cake planned. We had dancing girls coming into the studio. It was going to be a roast. We were going to bring on all your favorite coworkers, Charlie Parker, Tim Merriman, Bill Schoening. It was going to be great. Dave OEHLER was going to give you James Allen was going to give you a gold jacket to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It was your own bust for the Radio Hall of, but now nothing. You now you'll get nothing and like it. No soup for you, Dave OEHLER.
Well, I'll still be in the building. I just won't be here.
Well, but we wanted to do it on the air. We wanted to do it on video. So, all right.
In between traffic reports, I can come down and
yeah, maybe you should actually
down here.
Maybe you like in the final segment or something, or in the final hour on Wednesday. Maybe you should say, hey, man, Charlie Parker, Tim Merriman, and I guess it won't be Charlie because that's the problem, right?
Yeah, he's off, so I have to go down and actually do work. Yeah. So what are they going to do? Fire me?
Exactly. You should just walk out. Say, hey, Tim Merriman, 8:00 hour, you're on your own, pal. I'm going where they like me with Shannon and Chris.
Yeah, suck on that.
Exactly. I'm sick of being a good guy. I'm sick of being a team player. I'm leaving. All right. The high five play of the day is moments away. I usually would say this, you'll feel better with the high five play of the day. And this one's going to be kind of interesting. And if you're paying attention to what's going on in Ukraine and the other side of the world, it is involving a lot of people, and it is kind of intersecting the sports world in multiple ways as well. But I think you'll know why we're choosing what we're choosing in a moment with the high five play of the day, which is appropriately sponsored by High Five, 2 locations in the Austin area. And Shannon, although you're moving a little slowly after your Las Vegas trip, nobody can do justice to High Five like you can. I'm kind of glad you don't have an axe in your hand right now. I wouldn't want to be in the same studio with you this morning, but tell the people what they'll find at either one of the High Five locations in the Austin area.
Well, you mentioned axes. I'd probably unsuspectingly drop one if I was holding it right now. So you're right. Best for me to not be in that kind of type of environment. But if you do want to put an axe in your hand, get over to High Five. They've got a couple of axe throwing bays. It's a really great activity, something I think everyone should try. And it is Monday, Chris. And right now, especially to me, coming off that Vegas trip, nothing sounds better than a juicy cheeseburger. And Monday is burger night. So
Woo!
$5 specialty burgers over at High Five. And of course, they've got a great happy hour as well. Chris, today's High Five is one that you found. I was a little bit out of it this weekend, not as connected to the sports world as I usually am, but you sent me this, a video of a former tennis player. He recently retired actually this year. Sergey, I'm going to say Stakovsky is how you pronounce his last name.
And by the way, at one time he was his highest ranking. He was at one time the number 31 tennis player in the world. The number 31. He was a pretty darn good tennis player.
Oh yeah.
And maybe one of the best ever out of Ukraine.
And he one of his things he's really known for is that in 2013 he ended Roger Federer's 36 consecutive Grand Slam quarterfinal appearances by beating him at Wimbledon. So on one of the biggest stages in the sport, he took down the man. But he posted a video over the weekend. Sergey is Ukrainian, and of course there's a lot going on right now in that country, and he posted a tearful video saying that he was going to be joining the army to fight against the Russian invasion. We've got that audio for you here.
The army opened up the reserves and everybody who's willing to fight to come in and collect the weapons and to be part of the territorial resistance. There's plenty of people in them. I've actually signed up for reserves last week. I left here on Saturday. I just didn't have enough documents to sign the contract. Now they cancel the procedure and basically everybody who's motivated enough can join. I don't have military experience. I do have gun experience privately. I don't see the reason why majority of my countrymen have to risk their lives to send their families away while they stay back.
And Shannon, you could hear him getting emotional there.
Yes.
And I just want to underscore it. And since then, since the weekend, not only do you have Stakovsky, the man you just heard, the tennis player who is 36 years old, who is going to now go fight and take up arms against a superpower, the Russian military. But we learn overnight, Shannon, the number 8 pound-for-pound boxer in the world, Valasy Lomachenko, who is Ukrainian as well. He's 34 years old. He was a 2-time Olympic gold medalist. And again, ESPN ranks him number 8 pound-for-pound boxer across all weight classes in the world. He has now joined the Ukrainian army / resistance and is fighting now, ready to fight against the Russian military. Shannon, what's amazing about this on so many levels, and, you know, obviously in America, we love and revere and appreciate those who serve in our military, but they are highly trained. They've gone through basic training. Then they go through technical schools and they learn to be warriors. So many of these people in Ukraine, and these are just 2 guys in the sports world, but so many people from all walks of life. And this is a Western democracy. The people in Ukraine, whatever jobs we have, that you have, that I have, there are people on the radio like us who have sports radio gigs in Ukraine. There are people working at insurance companies, the equivalent of like a USAA. There are people working at the equivalent of HEBs in Ukraine. They have had a normal Western democracy kind of a life for 30 years since the breakaway and the fall of the Soviet Union. They've had a Western democracy. And now for them to have to fight for their lives and for their country and for their democracy against one of the best trained militaries and best equipped militaries. Obviously, ours is the best, but Russia's like number 2, I would think, as far as training and equipment and size and all of that with a military. It is a prospect, Shannon, that sure seems like darn near a suicide mission for a lot of these Ukrainians.
Yeah. And you mentioned, you know, these are athletes that are joining the forces and over here stateside. I mean, imagine if we were in a similar situation, they said, you know, our top athletes were volunteering. I think for the people of that country, it's inspiring, especially for, you know, we mentioned the multiple athletes that have joined, and tearfully so, right? It's emotional. But you know, these athletes who, in some of their minds, you know, we think of them having big heads, we think of them being self-centered, and for them to do something like this, you know, we mentioned Sergey retired this year. I think his total winnings from his career is like $5.5 million, right? He could say, look what I've already done for my country. I'm an Olympic athlete. I brought us to the main stage of the world of tennis. But he's doing this for his country, and you know, I think there's a reason this story is being shared today, and you know, I'm sure there are people that joined after seeing his video. So I think he's doing a lot more by doing the video and the way he did it. But I don't even really understand what's going on right now, if I'm being completely honest with the situation between Russia and Ukraine. I just know it's hard to watch, and it feels like, Chris, more and more we were living through history in a way that we don't want to. I wake up and I think, well, I don't want to go through the history books again. No. And again, we're going to get right back to sports here in a moment, but a couple of things that just occur to me. One of which
Vladimir Putin in the last 24 hours has put Russia on high nuclear alert. He put his nuclear forces on high alert because he says that NATO and the West are imposing illegal sanctions on Russia. And for those of you who know your history, something as seemingly far away as the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand began World War I. I mean, sometimes something as you might go, well, this is just between Ukraine and Russia, and well, you never know in geopolitical politics and war and all that. And then the other thing, Shannon, and I saw video of like a Russian convoy in Ukraine, and it was stalled, and I saw a Ukrainian civilian run up and put a grenade into one of these Russian Humvees, and it exploded, seemingly, at least from the video, killing the Russian soldiers. I was watching somebody on YouTube yesterday from Costa Rica who made the point, kind of a spiritual leader from Costa Rica, who said, remember, even though you may not agree with Russia going in and doing this to Ukraine, you need to pray for all sides. I mean, those soldiers who are ordered into Ukraine by Vladimir Putin, I think the bad guy in this equation is Putin. But certainly, and the Russians and the Ukrainians, so many of them have family on either side, which makes this all the more complicated. And those Russian soldiers, many of them, I'm sure, don't want to go in and invade Ukraine. And now you've got Russian soldiers killing Ukrainians. You've got the Ukrainian resistance killing Russian soldiers. And when I see those Humvees being blown up by the resistance, I think of American soldiers who in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in other locations faced, roadside bombs and horrible things. So war on either side is a horrible atrocity that we just hope that cooler heads prevail and that this thing stops. And the good news is, Shannon, although there's not high hopes, the Russian diplomats and Ukrainian diplomats this morning are meeting in Belarus. So at least they're talking about a possible ceasefire. So we will hope and pray that happens. It's just a horrible, horrible thing. I do want to mention one more quick thing. Jason Paniagua pointing out, and Brent Barry, former NBA player, played for the Spurs, won a title with the Spurs, now a Spurs executive, tweeted out a photo. There's a Ukrainian cheesecake factory or cheesecake place, Shannon, on Broadway called Laika Cheesecake. And they said over the weekend that all of their proceeds would go, or a major portion of their proceeds would go to Ukrainian, helping refugees and helping the people in Ukraine, because the owners are from Ukraine. The line was around the building yesterday, and it sold out by 3:30. They had to close their pastry shop and cheesecake shop because they sold out, because everybody in the San Antonio area wanted to get in line and support the cause. So thank you, Jason, for pointing that out. High five to everybody and the Laika cheesecake place on Broadway in San Antonio.
Yeah, that's an awesome story right there. And San Antonioans supporting that local business and in turn supporting Ukrainian as well. Man, now I want cheesecake, Chris. Now I want cheesecake.
Yeah, I mean, and
is anybody
cheesecake
in line
for a
yet?
cause. I mean, that's hopefully they've made cheesecake for today. Maybe we can get you some and ship it up to Austin. So that's you got to like cheesecake for a cause. Now, and again, I get it. We're a sports talk station. We're going to dive right back into sports, but that high five with the tennis player and now the boxer, Valery Lomachenko, it's the intersection of sports and this war.
Yep.
So it happens. It's sadly, it's the real world. People are dying over there, and athletes and civilians now are bearing the brunt of this. So it's a newsworthy story, and it was a sports related high five. So I think that was the right thing to do. Coming up, the Lakers get beat at home last night by 28 points by the New Orleans Pelicans without Zion. and the Lakers are booed by their own fans at Staples Center for losing by 28. We will get into that. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers lose a Pro Bowler, a 28-year-old Pro Bowler retires. So Brady retires. They lose another key player over the weekend. We'll get into that. Texas Longhorns, number 20 in the country, hosting Baylor. That and a lot more. Chris Duel Show coming up. Almost missed it. I'm not used to that new out time, man. I was looking at the clock going, oh, I got no, you don't have time. I'll have to work on that. And I thank you for forwarding that email because I didn't see the original one. Did you see my name on that email? Yeah. Foamfoot 420, thank you for the John and Yoko message. Let's see. New out times. Seven and okay. Thank you, Adrian, for that information. Adrian says Leica, the pastry shop on Broadway, sold out on Saturday as well. We were in line and they sold out by 2:30. Great job supporting Sam. Way to go, Adrian. I wanted to make it over there, but I did not. If they continue, I'll try to make it over there this week, maybe even today. Thank you for the information. This computer drives me a little crazy sometimes. All right. Jesse Bratton, welcome in. Good morning, Jesse. Go Spurs, go. Yeah, that's why if you're just tuning in, wearing the Spurs hard hat, Spurs, if they can beat Memphis tonight, will have a 5-3 winning record on the Rodeo Road Trip. Coach Gregory Charles Popovich will tie Don Nelson, his NBA mentor, one of his mentors. You could cite Larry Brown as well. For most regular season wins in NBA history. I started the show wearing my Spurs glasses, which I will often wear, but to read the computer screen gets a little tough because I don't know if you've seen, here's what you have to look through on these glasses. So it makes, and that's kind of like what you see, that's what it looks like when you're wearing the glasses. Things are not as clear, and certainly the computer screen is not as clear. So I tend to take them off now and then just so that I can see. It is our poll question today, and Shannon and I were talking about it. If the Spurs can beat Memphis tonight and go 5-3 on the Rodeo Road Trip, it will be extraordinary to go 5-3, and probably to beat Memphis. Memphis is so damn good. In fact, let me see what Memphis's home record is. They went into Chicago Saturday night, the Grizzlies, and they beat DeMar DeRozan and the Chicago Bulls, and Ja Morant had 43. But let me take a look at Memphis's home record. Memphis is 20-10 at home. So they've gotten beat 10 times. That's a percentage of 667. So they're beatable. And again, if the Spurs can get DeJounte Murray and Keldon Johnson and Jakob Poeltl back tonight, and they all sat out at Miami, which was a back-to-back. Spurs have a shot. Memphis is at an 8.5-point fave. But now that being said, and I mentioned this, going into the Rodeo Road Trip, the Spurs were 9-16 on the road. 7 games below 500 on the road. So to go 4-4, I said this as well in the 6 o'clock hour. To go 4-4, if you would have said to me before the Rodeo Road Trip, will you take a 4-4? I just said, oh, hell yes. So happy about that. Yeah, there you go, Jesse. That's how it looks when Jesse's had a few adult beverages. Jason says, I was in the line when they cut off sales yesterday. They had QR codes to still give donations. I'm going back before noon today to try again. Good for you, Jason. Take some photos, man. We'll retweet them. Michelle Johnson joins us from Marysville, Kansas. Good morning, Michelle. As you know, I was born in Salina, Kansas, many, many moons ago. There was an Air Force base there. I believe it was called Schilling Air Force Base. My dad was a B-47 pilot in the Strategic Air Command at the time. Wes Perkins. Damn, Memphis winning percentage is almost the sign of the beast. 0.667, not 0.666. Well, and as you know, Wes, technically it's 0.666666666 into infinity. I just rolled up to 667. Or rounded up, rolled up. Holmes High School math. All right, what else do we need to talk about here? Here we come. Yeah, Wes, and who did somebody beat Texas Tech over the weekend? You were getting old cocky about Texas Tech. Who did they lose to? Somebody wow, you said a 1-7 rodeo road trip. I didn't make a formal prediction. I should have. I usually do. TCU. That's right. TCU. Yeah, because, I mean, you were in here, rightfully so. I think on Thursday or Friday, you were talking about what a great week Texas Tech had. And then they lose to unranked TCU over the weekend. What was it, Saturday? Like 7 of the top 10, including Duke, lost. So, and including Gonzaga at number 1 and Auburn, your previous number 1. Here we go. All right. Due to Mark Zuckerberg and the Facebook police, I have to mute a little bit here in the opening because there's some music, but Dave Oehler. Oh, wow. Little pregnant pause there on your last show. A little silence going on.
This is the Chris.
Figured I'd just blame. It's your last day. I figured I'd blame you, man.
Now, Chris Duel.
Welcome in. It is the final Monday in February. It is the final show of Soundscape Stylist Dave Oehler. We didn't know that before the show began. And Saturday night was the final show of Shania Twain in Las Vegas, at least for this current residency run. And in the audience was one Shannon Salty Sweeney. She gets back last night, gets home after midnight. And if you know anything about morning radio with a 6 o'clock start, that usually involves a 3:30 or 4 a.m. wake up call. Shannon, I gotta hand it to you. If I were you coming in from Vegas, either A, I might not answer the call, or B, if like you, and I am like you, I had equipment at my home where I could have done the show. I think I would have definitely done the show from home, but you hauled yourself into the studio. You are to be commended for this.
Yeah, the home thing, due to my father also traveling on the same day at around the same time that I left to go to Vegas, we drove his car and parked it at one of those, park hop, whatever places. He's not back yet, but I got back last night. So I took that car home, but I took it to my folks' house. So instead of then getting back in my car and driving home and kind of missing out on sleep on that end, I just decided to miss it on the other end and come into work. But it's okay. They live closer to the station, so I did sleep like an extra 10 minutes this morning.
Okay. So, but now though, when you got to pick up your dad at the airport, though, correct? Since you took the car,
and
when does he get back?
On Wednesday, and it's like at 5:45. I'm like, holy traffic! Like, why? Of all of the times for you to land, I get to sit in it both ways. Fantastic. Looking forward to it.
How about Dad? I will pay for your Uber. It's like, I don't want to drive in traffic.
Yeah.
Get an Uber. I'll reimburse you.
Chris, I'm too cheap for that. I'm too cheap. I'm paying for anybody's Uber.
So you will sit in traffic.
I just came back from Vegas. I can't spend any money the rest of the month. I can't even eat. Can't even afford to
now,
eat.
okay. Now coming up on the Salty Shakedown, you're going to give us the rundown on your Las Vegas weekend. However, I did see in the 6 o'clock hour, Wes Perkins wanted to know on the live video feed, did you make money? Did you, and you can give us more details on the Salty Shakedown, but A, did you gamble? B, did you make any money?
I think in all, I maybe lost $15 from, but I'll let you know a little bit more detail as far as like where I won money and where I lost it in the shakedown.
We look forward to that.
Yeah.
That is coming up, the Salty Shakedown, probably about a half an hour away. So stick around for that. Today, Shannon, this Monday, which is what it is, February 28th, this is the big deadline for Major League Baseball. If they don't come to an accord between the Players Association and the owners, apparently they met for 6 hours yesterday. And this is a league. I don't understand this deadline, but the league has imposed this deadline, which is today, that if they don't come to an agreement today, then opening day will be canceled, which is March 31st. Opening day will be canceled along with, in all probability, the first week of games. In negotiations like this, it usually, you've got to almost be this close to canceling games before somebody blinks. So we'll see if anything happens today. But Shannon, you and I have talked about this, especially now, I think coming out of the pandemic. And I think more and more now, I think Major League Baseball is having a hard time continuing to get traction. Compared to other sports like football, which we love, basketball, which we love. We love baseball too. I'm a big Houston Astros fan. I don't really have the stomach for 162 regular season games, but I really sense, Shannon, and you are infinitely younger than I am, but I think for a younger generation of sports fans who are growing up on TikTok and Instagram and social media and with a smartphone in their hands, I think, and for older adults like me as well, I think our attention spans are shortening, and baseball's a long game, and baseball, they jam pack about 7 minutes of action into 2.5 hours. I think baseball needs all the help it can get. I think canceling games, or God forbid, canceling a season for baseball is a very, very bad idea.
Yeah, and you mentioned the talks, and they're going on for hours now, which is great, because I think it was last week there was one meeting that lasted a total of 15 minutes, and you're thinking, well, nothing's going to get done here. But when they bring up potentially canceling games, that both parties don't want that, right? The players want their full contract worth of checks, and the owners obviously want to have butts in the stands because that's where their money comes from. We talked a few weeks ago about the newest edition of MLB, the video game, and how important it is for the MLB to push that and to keep people interested there, because I think that translates to wanting or becoming affiliated with a team or player that you want to watch play in real life, because you play them as the video game. You want to see them on the real life. You mentioned TikTok, and you're right. I mean, baseball, that's always been the knock, right? Is like you sit there and you watch 3 innings and nothing happens. You're like, I'm going to go get a hot dog. And then you get up and go get a hot dog, and that the one hit of the game happens. And you're like, okay, I missed it. Right. Versus you're at a basketball game, you're at a football game. You're like, I can clearly, I know when the quarter's going to end. That's when I can make my escape to go to the bathroom, to get another drink, whatever. And you don't want to get up because you feel like you might actually miss something. I don't know what the fix is for baseball, because obviously you can't change the game, but playing baseball is a great start to keeping people entertained. And that's, issue number one right now, is just to get the season going for them. I still can't believe that they went all through, the pandemic thus far and the delays that caused. And they seem to just wait till the last minute to have these discussions and get this worked out, because I feel like we could have skipped all this if they just did it when everything was dead in the water anyway because of COVID.
Totally agree. Yeah. And we'll continue to keep an eye on that and see if anything changes in the world of baseball. And again, today is a big day if the league is going to hold firm to canceling opening day if an agreement isn't reached by today. So that's a sports story to keep an eye on throughout the day. Meanwhile, last night, Shannon, in the NBA, the Los Angeles Lakers are booed at home as they lose to the New Orleans Pelicans. Pelicans came in at 24-36 overall. They had an 11-19 record on the road. They, without Zion Williamson, who's not played this year, although they do now have CJ McCollum. They got him in a trade with the Portland Trail Blazers before the trade deadline. So he's now their go-to guy. And he did have 22 points last night for the Pelicans. But the Pelicans go into Staples Center last night, and they beat the Lakers by 28 points. Final score, Pelicans 123, Lakers 95. A cascade of boos rained down upon LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers last night, Shannon, unlike anything Laker fans have seen or participated in the modern day. Previous to that, the Kobe Bryant era. Previous to that, the Magic Johnson era, the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar era. The Lakers, even when they went through losing seasons, Laker fans did not turn on the Lakers like they did last night with a chorus of boos for the home team. Lakers are now 27-33, 6 games below 500. This is a team that just won the NBA championship 2 seasons ago in the bubble in Orlando and has a lot of key personnel that they did that with, most notably Anthony Davis and LeBron James. Lakers now 18-15 at home, but Shannon, it is not looking good at the moment for the Lakers, and that was an ugly, ugly scene last night at Staples Center.
When does Frank Vogel get fired, the head coach of the Lakers? Like,
probably when LeBron says so.
Right. You're like, when is that? I mean, this has been like a thing on nearly every game. You're like on Frank Vogel watch. And last night, that you mentioned the drastic score difference between the Lakers and the Pelicans. So drastic that there's a video of Jeannie Buss. The game's not even close to being over, and she leaves because she's just fed up. Frank Vogel last night on one of the timeouts and talking to his team was like, just pretend we're down 15. Like, what? Dude, we can all see the scoreboard. Ouch. It's a mess. And you mentioned, they won a championship 2 years ago. I mean, they just reverse bangled us.
Now, you bring up a huge question, Shannon. And, we said watch baseball today to see if anything happens and or if opening day in the first week of the season is canceled. This might be the day Frank Vogel gets fired. Because, I think of like other major moments when coaches were fired. And I remember Wade Phillips when the Cowboys were embarrassed at Green Bay that year in the middle of the season. And Jerry Jones had just had enough. And you had who you thought, or at least we thought, was going to be the golden child in waiting, assistant head coach Jason Garrett, waiting in the wings. But when it was such an embarrassing loss that Jerry Jones, with his ego, said no more, and he installed Jason Garrett as head coach. Cowboys went. Jason Garrett, I think, went 2-0 in his first 2 wins. You look at the Lakers right now. We're about to begin the month of March. The regular season ends on April 10th. Maybe you do, and I feel bad for Frank Vogel because he's kind of in a no-win situation. It's just the culture is bad in LA. It's just not working. You brought in a lot of older guys who have big egos, and it's just not, they're not meshing. But especially, Shannon, because you cite Jeannie Buss, one of the owners and the key principal owner and decision maker next to Kurt Rambis's wife, walking off in disgust last night. If you're going to fire a coach, you got 2 options. One, fire him that night, which is drastic, unless you're USC firing Lane Kiffin at the airport after the embarrassing loss to Arizona State, which was beautiful. Pat Hayden at the time was the athletic director and didn't even wait until the next day. When the team landed, he met him at LA International Airport and fired Lane Kiffin right there. But usually you don't do that. That's wildly drastic. Usually you wait until the next work day. And it's a Monday, Shannon. It's a whole new work week. And tomorrow's March 1st. It's a new month. You would think if the right coach, or if you elevated an assistant coach who could maybe bring some juice to the Lakers and light a fire, I would not be shocked if the Lakers gave Frank Vogel the axe later this morning.
Yeah. And like you said, I don't know who the name is, But being head coach of the Lakers with their history and their location and their visibility, that's a tall order. And then you add, as you mentioned, that cast of characters that they're currently working with. One being which, oh, by the way, LeBron James, who notoriously has his ear. And I mean, he is the coaches typically with LeBron James. You're just a coach in title. You're not a coach in action. That is LeBron James's team. And, and there's been rumors, right, all season about Vogel butting heads with LeBron and other players not happy. It's just interesting that it seems to be the conversation after nearly every Lakers loss this season is, okay, when are we getting rid of Frank Vogel? And after last night, you're like, but for real now, when are we getting rid of Frank Vogel? But I don't have a name for you for who's next.
Now, I'm looking at their list of assistant coaches, and only one stands out as a name we recognize. David Fizdale has coached a couple of teams in the NBA. He is an assistant coach. The other guys, I only recognize one because of his dad, but the other guys are Phil Handy, Mike Penberthy, Miles Simon, Quentin Crawford, and the one I recognize, John Lucas III, either the son or the grandson of John Lucas, the assistant coach with the Houston Rockets, a one-time Spurs head coach, and a former NBA player, John Lucas. David Fizdale, I think Shannon would be presumably the guy they give it to. I can't imagine in the month of March, on March 1st or on February 28th, if you blew out Frank Vogel, that you'd go get another coach out there somewhere who's currently doesn't have a gig. You usually elevate another coach, make him the interim coach. And it's all a matter of, and again, you cited LeBron. I think it's, does LeBron want to do this? Does LeBron want to make a move? And if Vogel is butting heads with LeBron James, that's not a good idea. That's not good for your career and your future with any franchise if you butt heads with LeBron James.
Well, and I would imagine if it is David Fizdale, if they do decide, all right, Frank Vogel, maybe we just have an interim for the rest of the season, or maybe we really do look at David Fizdale. Fizdale was with the Miami Heat as an assistant from 2008 to 2016. So he was there during the time that LeBron was there and obviously found success. So you'd think that maybe that relationship would be enough to make that consideration.
Yeah. And I'm pulling up, I know he played pop in the playoffs. He was with the Grizzlies once in a playoff series against the Spurs, and one of his lines was "Take that for data." He got very angry in a post-game press conference.
Oh, yeah.
But as
Classic.
a head coach, Fizdale Memphis Grizzlies 2016 to 2017, and the Knicks from 2018 to 2019. You make the huge point, though. I gotta believe if he's on this staff with the Lakers, the history he had with LeBron and a longtime assistant with the Heat from 2008 to 2016, he probably has a good relationship with LeBron James. So that could be something that happens.
Yep. His total head coaching record, he's at 34% wins.
Yeah, that's not good.
Not the best.
That's
Could
not
be
good
better.
at all. No. Yeah, Robert Chapa on the live video feed says no one will want to coach LA as long as LeBron is general manager. LOL. It's not Vogel's fault. But you say that, and I still, because it was in the bubble, it's not yet 2 years. More. It's almost like a year and a half since the Lakers. And again, in the bubble, that NBA Finals was like in November of 2020. So. It's been like a year and a half since that team, with at least the major stars on that team, won an NBA championship. You would think and you would hope that the Lakers, and that was the thinking coming into this season, was that the Lakers could turn it on at the right time and come playoff time. Coming into this season, most people believed your contenders for the Western Conference would be the Lakers, the Clippers, although, Kawhi's been out all season and they're sub 500 as well. And of course, the Golden State Warriors getting Klay Thompson back. And I know Draymond Green has been out of the lineup for the Warriors, but the Warriors have been right there. And of course, Phoenix, the defending Western Conference champions are there as well. But yeah, this drop off of the Lakers has been extraordinary. And you almost, I think, if you're Jeannie Buss, you kind of want a fall guy. I mean, for your probably Laker fans want to see Vogel go as well, because Laker fans, I mean, they were booing like mad last night. They're disgruntled. They want some blood, and usually in a situation like this is what you do.
Yeah, I don't think it helps either that Vogel, his first season was that championship season, and the odd season that was the bubble, because once you win something like that, you kind of get the benefit of the doubt, especially when it's on the front end, because you don't really know what you have. You haven't. It's not like he built that up to be, it was just kind of like put in place and it was already ready to go. So now that they are seeing that maybe he's not the right fit and he's not the one to lead this team, especially a team with all of those names on it. Time to part ways at this point, if I'm Jeannie Buss and company.
Meanwhile, last night, Shannon, you will be happy to know, and I know you already know this, but the Dallas Mavericks go into San Francisco, the Chase Center, to take on the Golden State Warriors last night. And they were down 19 in the fourth quarter. The Mavericks overcome a 19-point deficit in the fourth quarter, come from behind, beat the Warriors 107-101. Mavericks outscored the Warriors 33-13 by 20 in the fourth quarter on the road in the Warriors' house. Luka Doncic, a double-double, 34 points, 11 rebounds. That is a big-time quality win for your Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah. Do you believe in miracles? Because I believe in miracles, Chris. And I mean, putting that into perspective, when you are facing the Warriors specifically, what a great feat, what a great win. Mavs currently 5th in the West. I like to see it. I feel comfortable there. We'll see how things shake up here towards the end of the season, but I feel good about my squad right now. Porzingis leaving is the best thing to happen this season.
Yeah. Addition by subtraction for the Dallas Mavericks. And, as we move into the month of March tomorrow, if you can get hot moving into the playoffs, regular season ends the second week in April for the NBA, then that's the thing to do. So I've always felt the Mavericks are just a team to keep an eye on. Might not be top 3, might not be like the Warriors or the Suns, or even the Utah Jazz, but they're a team you probably don't want to face in the playoffs. And again, and I know I'm a homer for the Spurs, Shannon, as you can see with my Spurs hard hat on this morning, but the Spurs not only 4-3 currently on the Rodeo Road Trip, but they won their last game before the Rodeo Road Trip. So over the last 8, the Spurs are 5-3. So we're 5 out of 8. Mavericks doing better than the Spurs at the moment. But I'm kind of liking it's almost like DeJounte Murray coming out of this NBA All-Star experience. He's got like even extra swagger. He's like even like taking his game even to a higher level. So I'm kind of liking what the Spurs are doing lately. And a big one tonight, Memphis. Memphis is so good, but if the Spurs win tonight, it's the last game of the Rodeo Road Trip. They can go 5-3 on the Rodeo Road Trip, which would be crazy, crazy good for the Spurs. We'll talk more basketball. We'll talk NFL football as God intended. A major retirement for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the second one on their offense. A Pro Bowler who's only 28 years old retires yesterday for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We will get into that coming up. Let's find out about Shannon's Las Vegas adventure. We'll learn about that on her Salty Shakedown. We've got sports birthdays, including a big-time Dallas Maverick, sports history, and more. Dave OEHLER, his final show as Soundscape Stylist this morning. Then he is out of here. He's making the show go. We're with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. There you go, Alexander. Alexander says the Mavs have reached their ceiling. The Spurs are still on the rise. I totally agree the Spurs are on the rise. I really, really do. There he is, ladies and gentlemen, Steve DiRocco. Welcome in, Steve. The original rock. The original Italian stallion. Co-founder of the San Antonio Polar Bear Club. Oh, by the way, Steve, I got mocked the other day, and so did you. Stacy, the next door neighbor of my mom. I'm like walking out of the garage at my mom's condo. She goes, "Oh, I haven't seen Haven't seen the San Antonio polar bears out there in the water lately. I said, well, we just don't think it's cold enough yet. That's why we're not in the water yet. What's happening? All right, let me put this on mute because I never know what you're going to say. All right. John Williams says, why isn't Shannon on the ticket in Dallas? Because she's on the ticket 760 in San Antonio, John, and AM 1300 The Zone. That's why. If she lived in Dallas, she'd be on the ticket probably. So anyway, Steve DeRocco, as I was trying to say, before David Munoz came in and rudely interrupted. Oh, I got to look something up. So yeah, Stacy goes, yeah, you guys, I haven't seen any videos of the San Antonio Polar Bear Club. I said, we're waiting for it to get colder. It's not cold. It was like 34 degrees that day. It's not cold enough for us. Okay, I got to look something up. Give me the name one more time. Steve Moore, I do not. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So he was a consultant? Wow. I'm trying to think. The name doesn't ring a bell. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Crazy. Small world. Yeah. All right. Here we go.
Seven 9760.
Welcome in on the final day of February, the deadline day for Major League Baseball and the Players Association to come to an accord, or else opening day and the opening week will be canceled. According to Major League Baseball, opening day will be the 31st of March, unless it's canceled. And as Shannon brought up, with the Lakers getting blown out at home last night by the lowly New Orleans Pelicans by 28 points, precipitating a cascade of boos throughout Staples Center, descending upon LeBron James, owner Jeannie Buss, who left in disgust, and the Lakers. I think Shannon's question as to when Frank Vogel will be fired, I think there's a good chance. Shannon, you got to get some kind of major props if he does get fired today. I don't know what we'll do tomorrow, but yeah, maybe we'll replay the moment on the show tomorrow. But I think you might be onto something. So
I'm looking at Woj's profile right now just to see if we've missed anything.
Yeah,
that's what I'm waiting for today.
Yeah, Woj will probably be the first one to report it, and it's coming up on 5:38 in the morning right now in Los Angeles. And if they didn't fire him after the game, then maybe they'll do it the next day, the next work day, which is today. So keep an eye on Woj this morning. Coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown. We will learn all about her Las Vegas Odyssey, of which she is still recovering. Got in after midnight last night and answered the bell for early morning radio this morning. That is moments away. But first, how about some sports birthdays? And this day in sports history. This day in 1960, the home team in the Squaw Valley / Lake Tahoe Olympics, Team USA, won its first ever Olympic ice hockey gold medal. Team USA beat Czechoslovakia 9-4. It was the first gold medal for USA hockey. And of course, 20 years later would be the miracle on ice at Lake Placid against the Soviet Union, Russia. This day in 1981, Calvin Murphy of the Houston Rockets set an NBA record with 78 consecutive free throws. And finally, on this day in 2012, it was the 54th Daytona 500. Rain stopped the race for over 2 hours because of fuel on the track. And ultimately, Matt Kenseth led for the final 34 laps to be your winner of the 54th Daytona 500 on this day 10 years ago in 2012. That's your sports history. How about some sports birthdays? Born on this day in 1929, legendary University of Iowa head football coach Hayden Frye was born. Hayden Frye passed away in 2019. Hayden Frye was born in Eastland, Texas. He's associated with that Iowa program, but he's from Texas. He coached at SMU from 62 to 72, and he coached at North Texas from 73 to 78. And then for 20 years, he was at Iowa from 1979 to 1998. Born on this day in 1940, legendary Indy auto racer Mario Andretti was born in Montona, Italy. Born on this day in 1954, Super Bowl winning head football coach with the Baltimore Ravens, Brian Billick, now a studio NFL football analyst. Born on this day in 1973, NHL center and legendary hockey player with the Philadelphia Flyers, Eric Lindros, was born in London, Ontario. And finally, born today in 1999, perhaps the favorite player now of Shannon Salty Sweeney, had a big night last night, bringing the Dallas Mavericks from behind down 19 to beat them last night in San Francisco. Luka Doncic from Slovenia. I can't even pronounce his hometown. Ljubljana? Good, something like that. In Slovenia. Born on this day in 1999. Happy birthday, Luka Doncic. EuroLeague MVP in 2018. NBA Rookie of the Year in 2019. Shannon, is he your favorite player now, Luka, of all NBA players?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, just checking. Thought maybe Josh Primo might have
No.
moved into the number one slot. Everybody
No.
loves Josh Primo. All right, just checking. So we now know who her favorite player is, but we don't know the details of her Las Vegas adventure. So now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, countrymen, farm animals, pole assassins, and monkeys, we get the lowdown now. How did the Vegas weekend go? It is time for Shannon's Salty Shakedown.
All right, we've got to. I'm going to break this up. So let's talk food and beverage first, because as we know, Las Vegas, world-class eats going down.
Yes.
And thanks to my guy, Gordon Ramsay, for one. When we landed, we went straight to our airport, but we went to our hotel. But we didn't go check in. We weren't able to check in yet. So we went to kind of the mall area. I feel like all of those hotels have shopping mall like vibes, and there was this great place that I found on the internet when I searched cheap drinks at our hotel. This place was called Flights, and they have a happy hour all day, and throughout the day, depending on the time, you get certain flights for $10. So when we got there, you could get $10 flights of beer or wine. And I guess I was like clearly on vacation mode, because it's 1 p.m. Vegas time, and I am having me some night wine. For those that don't know what night wine is, it's red wine. Got me a flight of red wine.
Nice.
But then the clock struck 2 p.m. and it went from beer and wine flights to cocktail flights. So I got an old-fashioned cocktail flight to follow my night wine flight. Poor decision, but tasted great. We also had like a flight of French fries with different dipping sauces and a taco flight. I had a friend that got like a tuna taco flight. It was a great meal to kick things off, but I just wanted to taste. I needed something to hold me over, because Friday night was the big night for me, and going to Gordon Ramsay's Pub and Grill, which is in Caesar's Palace. So we walked over from our hotel to make it to our reservation. We got there with a little bit of time to spare. So we took a tour of Caesar's Palace, beautiful hotel. That was our first moment of gambling a little bit. We got a beer to carry around on the floor. And I did my first slot machine and I hit it. I think I put $5 in and I won back $4. Like I guess walked away with $9 total, right? So I got $4. So I was like that I could be done. At that point I was like I could be done with gambling for the entire weekend. I'm up. I did it.
You're up.
We've gambled. Yeah. We did the thing. We pulled the lever. We made things happen. And I got money out of it. I also was really impressed. I thought there was a whole like you got to go stand in line and pay money to get a game card or something like it's Dave and Buster's. And no, you just put the money into the machine. They make it so easy to lose your money because it's all right there at the palm of your fingertips. So we then make our way into the Gordon Ramsay establishment. I've already game planned what I've got going on. All right, I'm gonna get the beef Wellington, and I order my beef Wellington, sir. And the waiter's like, but for $10 more, you can also get a salad and a sticky toffee pudding. And I was like, I don't like sticky toffee pudding. He said, you can get the ice cream, peanut butter ice cream, and brownie dessert. And I said, done deal. I'll have that, and I'll have a glass of night wine. Now, what's wild to me about Vegas is that you can get free drinks, you can get cheap drinks.
Yes.
And you can get drinks that are very, very expensive. So the cocktails at Gordon Ramsay's were $23 for a cocktail. Oh. In comparison, at one point when I was doing some gambling, I was there for maybe 30, 40 minutes. So a waitress came up and asked if I wanted a cocktail. I said, I sure do. I'll have a margarita. That was free. And I was smart in that point of gambling. And I'll tell you which game it was in a little bit. But I did not lose any money. I played until I broke even because I had gotten my margarita. That was what I was there for, was for a free drink. But I paid lots of money for some drinks, and then we found this place called Ocean Blue, of which they, sir, during lunch everything is $5 food wise, and all day 3 cocktails for $10, and they do not skimp on the liquor. Okay. And this was beautiful. This was where we were before the Shania show. And I don't know if I was just feeling like this is Vegas, I'm on vacation. I had already had a couple margaritas earlier in the day. I had some beer. With my 3 cocktails, I went with one of those blue Hawaiians that has just like rum and all of the different liquors in it. Then I went with a margarita, which of course has the tequila. And then I think we did a dirty Shirley to end that run. And then I end up going to Shania Twain and I have one of those Vizzy seltzers and then a beer afterwards, like that whole day.
My goodness. And
you'll be proud, or maybe not, because you're from San Antonio and you know what a good taco tastes like. But after Shania Twain and after being a little bit, under the influence, we ended up at a Taco Bell cantina, which conveniently attached to our hotel.
Goodness. Okay.
Taco Bell cantina. I remember being there. I remember eating at the Taco Bell cantina. I don't remember much more from that night, but Saturday was pretty wild. From Gordon Ramsay the night before, classy with my night wine, to give me whatever liquor I can get for cheap and put it in my face and enjoy myself. I did mention I did do some gambling. We went to a table to do roulette. We had no idea what we were doing. The first table we walked up to, and the guy was like, you don't want to be here. This is a high roller table. This is $100. We were like, where are the cheap ones? He said, way on the other side. Look at, read above you. This says high limit over here. We found a $15 table. And the woman clearly knew who was running the table, clearly knew that we didn't know what we were doing. The other people who were already playing clearly knew that we didn't know what we were doing. So they ended up leaving after like one hand because we didn't know what we were doing. And I was like, my money works the same as your money. It's all green. Did not win. I think I put down $30 and I think I bet on red and I won that one, got everything back, but then put it all back on the table and lost it immediately. So I was like, I played a table game. Let me now go and do some blackjack, but on a machine. And that's where I ended up sitting there. I think it was like 50 cents. And I put in a 20 and ended up being there for 40 minutes, getting me a margarita, and then deciding after I'd finished that margarita, let me just get it back up to even and walk away. So that's my gambling. That's my food. Travel. We left middle of the day in Austin. It was great. Traveling to your destination is so much better than traveling home. The second, like, I feel like the vacation's over, like you're ready to go back to the airport, I hate it. I'm just, get me home. I'm in a mood. Get me home. Get me in my bed. I don't want to deal with it. We had to get to the airport super early yesterday because we didn't know this. They were having a Sunday night marathon down the strip and like throughout. So all the roads were going to be closed. So we ended up going to the airport, I think like 5 hours early. And I have lounge access, which is great, but you're only allowed into the lounges 3 hours before your flight. We end up sitting around the airport for 2 hours before sitting in the lounge for 3 hours. The lounge is great. Got me some night wine again. They had some great food options. We make it over to our gate before our proposed time to leave. Plane's not there, so you're already like, okay, this is gonna be a little different. So I think we boarded 25 minutes late. We're on the plane. Everyone is ready to go. I don't think it's a full flight, so it didn't take too long to load everybody. And we're like, what? No one is saying anything. No one's leaving. And all I hear over the speaker is the captain being like, we have a damaged whatever. And at first I didn't hear. I was like, God, we're gonna have to unload. We're gonna have to do the whole thing. It was a damaged, what do they call where you put the suitcases up top? Like just one of the
overhead bin.
The overhead bin was like bent or something. But because of that, in the FAA, they had to come and tape it up. They had to write in a report. They had to send in the report. This bin had us sitting there for 45 minutes before we could leave.
Wow.
Which ultimately got us to our gate in Austin late and got me in bed much later than I had originally hoped for. But overall, a great trip, a successful time. I'm still dealing with, the consequences of my actions this morning. Very tired, need a shower, need more than a 4-hour nap in between getting home last night and waking up this morning. But a good time. I enjoyed myself, sir. And thanks for putting up with me on this Monday morning because I know it's rough.
Absolutely. Well, and I'm thinking about this, Shannon. A lot of people go to Vegas for the weekend and have to work the next Monday. Not a lot of them have to work a morning sports talk radio show, which requires like a 3:30 a.m. wake up call. So, I mean, that is, most people work 9 to 5, not, 6. So, I mean, for again, I didn't, but I would have if Dave Oehler would have taken my bet. I would have bet that you didn't answer the call today. And there would have been no judgment. It's like, of course, you went to Vegas. How are you going to go work at 6 a.m. on a Monday morning after you just got back from Vegas? And when you got back after midnight, get home after midnight. That's crazy.
Yeah,
so you are a trooper.
My friends last night on the way back were like planning what they were going to eat or I was like, I'm going immediately to bed. I ate at the lounge. I ate multiple plates of food. We were there for 3 hours, so why not? But I did that very much on purpose because I have no time to go through a drive-through or whatever to have second dinner. I'm going to bed.
Yeah. Amen. Now, did you and your friends on the flight back, are you already planning your next Vegas? Are you saying this was so great, we got to do this again like in July or anything like that coming up?
No. I don't.
No.
I like a good show, right? But I have my favorites, and there are a few people that I would like, one, pay to go to a show in my own city, much less pay to fly somewhere else to do it and spend all the money that goes with it.
Yeah. See, now you sent me a photo, and I do appreciate it. You walked by the Mirage,
yes,
which has the Beatles Love Cirque du Soleil show, which my wife and I, and we don't gamble, we just flew into Vegas a number of times to see that show. So if you were a Beatles freak like I am, and I know you're not, but if you were, that's a great show. That's a lot of fun. So
of course.
But thank you for the photo.
Yeah.
Nice to see a gigantic Beatles mural across the skyline of Las Vegas, which is a beautiful thing. Outstanding, Shannon. Congratulations for surviving. And nobody went to jail. I always thought, maybe 3 young ladies just letting it rip, drinking a lot of different cocktails in Vegas. Things could have gone south, and you avoided a hard jail time, which is respectable.
Thank you. I'm making my mom proud, I hope.
Very good. Very good. Coming up, Dave Oehler's final hour on this show. If you're just tuning in, our trusty Soundscape stylist revealed to us before the show he's out of here after this show. So coming up, let's talk some NFL football. Major retirement, another one for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You got to believe if Tom Brady was thinking, well, maybe I'll come back, this will help persuade him not to. We will talk about that and more. Longhorns, big game tonight against the Baylor Bears in men's college basketball. We'll get into that. And, of course, we've talked about it. We'll probably talk more about it. Spurs, with a win tonight, can wrap up the Rodeo Road Trip at 5-3, and it'd be a milestone win for Pop if the Spurs get it. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Chris Duel Show. Taro Kotani, welcome in. See, Taro says, one more negative test to go before heading to San Antonio. Can I visit the studio? Of course you can. Taro, we love having you in studio, man. Absolutely. That is always a highlight for us as well whenever you come to town. Taro, for anybody who's new in here, is the greatest international Spurs fan from Tokyo, Japan. This will be his 17th trip to San Antonio. All right, let me see here. I'm going to go grab some ice for my iced tea because my iced tea no longer has any ice. What good is iced tea with no ice? Then it's not iced tea. We can't have that. All right, let me see here. I'm going to give you some Dave Oehler. Since this is his final hour, less than an hour from now, this show will be over. And he will ride off into the sunset. If you're just joining us, I do have my Greg Popovich holy prayer candle that I will light tonight, hoping that Pop will find a way to get his win tonight. All right. I am on a quest for ice. Ice, ice, baby. Woo! Woo! I've got ice. There you go, Dave. I've got an In Pop We Trust t-shirt. I can't find it. I've worn it a lot. And I went looking for it the other day. I may have to just get another one. This would be a great night to wear the In Pop We Trust t-shirt. Fact, let me see here. In this photo we tweeted out today, there is my In Pop We Trust t-shirt. There's me, there's Shannon, Dave OEHLER for the final time, Longhorns, because they got a big game tonight, Pop, Shania Twain, Vegas, Cowboys, because, you know, we should always talk Cowboys. I do have ice. There's my ice. So now my iced tea will properly be chilled. Much better. Thank you. Oh, I got to check one thing here. Let's see. Good morning, Fred. Fred and anybody else joining us late. This is Dave OEHLER's final show. He told us that before the show today. Alexander says a statement game tonight. Yeah, Alexander, if the Spurs win this one tonight, you know, we were talking about it on Spurs React the other night when they won at Washington in double overtime. Somebody said, you know, this is a statement, someone said the Spurs are turning the corner. And I really feel they are turning the corner. Here we come. Here we go. Oh, I'm going to do the little muting exercise here. See, and now, so is that going to happen every time now? Are we going to have like does that go out over the air? Is it silent over the air like that? I can't hear.
This is the Chris Duel Show.
You know the day destroys the night.
Okay, I thought that was going over the air, so that's cool.
To the other side.
Now, Chris Duel.
It is the 8 o'clock hour on this final day of February, Monday, February 28th, the deadline day for Major League Baseball and the Players Association to come to an accord, or else, according to Major League Baseball, they will cancel opening day, March 31st, and at least the first week of the regular season. We will keep an eye on that throughout the day to see what happens with Major League Baseball. Shannon brought up an interesting prospect this morning. Do the Lakers blow out Frank Vogel, perhaps? After last night, they were embarrassed at home, a 28-point home loss to the New Orleans Pelicans, which caused fans to boo the Los Angeles Lakers. And as Shannon mentioned, there's video out there of Lakers owner Jeannie Buss leaving very, very early from that game. So that is certainly something to keep an eye on. Frank Vogel has seemed to be on the hot seat for some time now. So there's that. Lots of other stories, Shannon, going on in the world of sports. Something that I thought was interesting that broke yesterday, we learned about a new record for a ticket stub. Jackie Robinson's debut game in Major League Baseball in 1947 with the Brooklyn Dodgers. Somebody has a ticket stub from that game, which sold for, I believe, $480,000. Can you imagine somebody going to that game in 1947? If they would have had any idea, just hold on to your ticket, and someday your grandkids can have $480,000 just from the ticket stub to this game that you're about to see today. That would have been mind-blowing, especially in 1947 dollars. And at I think the same auction, the Michael Jordan first ever game, there's a ticket stub to that one. That one got $468,000 at auction, just a little under the $480,000 record for the Jackie Robinson ticket. And we talk about this from time to time, Shannon, the memorabilia market, it's just crazy. And I guess as long as you've got very, very rich people out there who happen to be sports fans and collectors willing to pay this kind of money, I guess the costs of these items are just going to keep going up.
Well, and you mentioned the Jackie Robinson ticket. There's also a Michael Jordan ticket that's sold for about that same, almost $500,000 price tag. The guy who got tickets to Jordan's first ever Bulls game was in college at the time. He didn't have anybody to go with him. So with his 2 tickets, he used one. So he has what is they're considering the only remaining unused ticket for that game.
Wow.
To kind of have the mindset of like, hey, there's this kid, Michael Jordan, who's going to be playing for this team, and maybe he'll turn into something, right? Because a lot of times you never know, or they end up being a bust, right? Because there's, the reason Michael Jordan is so great is because there is only one Michael Jordan. But you mentioned the price of everything going up, and I started thinking last night, okay, why are people so invested in this? Why is it so much money? It can't just be the history of a ticket, right? It's a piece of paper. Is it because we're doing away with physical tickets? Is it because we're doing everything digital now? I mean, I remember this year I tweeted at Chris Del Conte about the Texas OU tickets, and I was like, do we not get physical tickets anymore? Because what's so great about that game is that in years past, you did get physical tickets, they were different than your season tickets. They were always special. Some years they were gold, like the golden hat, or they just had cool, graphics on them that you'd want to keep or savor. Just, that's how you would differentiate looking back on what game was which. And this year it was all digital. Everything was digital. It was also a pain in the butt because my one ticket account, I then had to sit here and individually send to everyone in my party who was going with me. But maybe that is also a part of it too, of just we're kind of moving away from actual ticketing. I mean, we talked to Austin FC. Q2 Stadium is completely digital. All the tickets are digital. Everything is pay digital, entrance, exit, everything. So I don't know if that's got to be a piece of it, wouldn't you think, at this point? Because we're not going to have that physical ticket for the next Michael Jordan, right? And be like, well, I have a picture on my phone of when I was there and the barcode that was used to scan.
Here's
to
my
get me
screenshot.
in. But there's no dates, there's no special graphic, there's no seat number, there's no little price on it. Long gone are the days of waiting at a physical box office for a physical ticket to get you into that must-see show or sporting event.
I never thought of that until right now when you said it, Shannon, that could be a factor, and the fact that tickets and therefore ticket stubs are going away forever. That is pretty amazing. And you're right, as a fan, and even for concerts, I mean, it's so cool to have, a ticket stub to a concert you went to years and years ago. We talked about Vegas. You took the photo of the Mirage and the Beatles Love Cirque du Soleil show. I still have ticket stubs from going to that show that are kind of cool. And it's a memory of an event you went to, whether it's a sporting event or a movie or a concert. So yeah, it is kind of sad that those are going away. I think the other reason, though, just like fine art or other things you would collect, like car collectors, the sports memorabilia business, those items just continue to appreciate in value. An authenticated autographed baseball by a superstar, sports cards, football cards, baseball cards, especially rookie cards for Tom Brady or whoever, just the numbers and the value just keeps going up. So people who have that kind of money, and as we mentioned, nearly $500,000 for Jackie Robinson's first game ticket stub and Michael Jordan's as well. If you buy that and if you've got that kind of money, if it's worth $480,000 today, 5 years from now, that's probably going to be worth $750,000. And it's like real estate. That stuff just keeps appreciating, which is absolutely crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm assuming if you're the one purchasing these things, because obviously you don't have an emotional attachment to that. You weren't at that event or whatever. So it's not yours to begin with, but I guess it's kind of like art that you hang that up and you just sit there to appreciate it. And I'm not big into art. So I still don't get it. Why you would pay that much just so you can look at a ticket to something you didn't go to. But I guess if you think of it that way, it makes a little more sense to me.
Well, and there's always, and some of these people are mega rich, so they're willing to pay this.
Yeah.
There's always the fan of that. It's like you with Justin Timberlake. I mean, if you had a ton of money and could get some cool Justin Timberlake, you would be more prone to do it because you love that artist. For me, it's like, Roger Staubach is my favorite Dallas Cowboy. If I were a multimillionaire and you could get me a ticket to Roger's first game as a Dallas Cowboy, I'd probably buy it. If I had that kind of money, and I'd be more prone to outbid somebody just because I'm a big Roger fan. So I do kind of get it, but my goodness, those numbers money wise are kind of crazy.
And I think it's you want something from you want a piece of history.
True.
Or maybe, you weren't around when Jackie Robinson was around, but you like the history and you want a piece of that. And, you wish you could have been there, and that's as close as you're going to ever get.
And speaking of memorabilia, Dave, as you mentioned that, there's a thing, I've seen this online, and I grew up, I was a kid when Apollo 11 landed on the moon, and there's a certain kind of protective foil that NASA used on the lunar module, and some of that wound up making its way back on board the spacecraft and wound up making it back to Earth. So there's like this little cube. It's like the size of an ice cube, but it's clear and acrylic, and in it you've got a minuscule little piece of foil. And according to the authenticators, this is foil from Apollo 11 that went, and it's like the dot of the tip of a pencil. It's like a little like orange piece of foil that's in this acrylic like ice cube shaped thing, and they're selling these for like thousands of dollars. It's like if you're a collector and you're a fan of the moon landings, it's like, wow, this has been to the moon with Apollo 11. So to your point, Dave, that's a piece of history. You go, hey man, anytime anybody talks about this little piece of foil that I paid $1,000 for went to the moon on July 20th, 1969.
Yeah, and along those same lines, I keep up with auctions a lot, and one of the things that somebody was selling, and I don't remember the auction house now, but they were selling pieces of coal from the Titanic.
Whoa.
And
that's crazy.
Yeah, it would go for like, a couple $100, and it was like on a plaque, and it was authenticated and everything. And, I guess it's just, they want to be close to something that they enjoy, and, they like the history behind it.
Yeah. See, I always wonder, and, you say it's authenticated. I always wonder, when there's a market and so much money is being paid, whether it's a coal from the Titanic or an autographed Tom Brady rookie card, I just wonder if, whenever I see an autograph on like a sports card, it's authentic. It's like, how do you know for sure that some guy, because if you do it and get away with it, you're making thousands and thousands of dollars by forging an autograph.
That's why you have to go through a third-party authentication process.
Okay. Which I don't really understand all that stuff, but
basically you buy it from the seller, and then you sell it, or then you send it to another party who authenticates it.
Okay.
So it's neutral of either parties, of the buyer or the seller.
All right, as long as it works. But I'll never have that kind of money at this point, unless I win the big lottery. Shannon, speaking of big money, we talked last week about the reports that Troy Aikman is going to get a lot of money to do ESPN's Monday Night Football. Now, one of the big things that's going to come online next season in the NFL is Amazon and Amazon Prime doing Thursday Night Football. And apparently they're trying to increase or come up with a roster of talent that's going to make people want to tune in. What's the latest we're hearing from Amazon and Thursday Night Football?
Yeah, apparently they've got their eyes on ESPN's Kirk Herbstreit, who, as we know, he's a college guy. So to me, that's super interesting, because I've always known him as the college guy. That doesn't mean he can't transition to the NFL. Obviously, he'd come, I think, for the first few years of being in the NFL, would have an interesting perspective that we haven't received from a guy who, covered who will be rookies and sophomore, junior level players really closely during their time in college. But we talked about how there are a lot of people that don't care for Joe Buck, and there are a lot of people that don't care for, Tony Romo or Troy Aikman on a call. Kirk Cousins is one of those guys to me where you either love him or you hate him. And I tend to lean on the side of sports hating him because of the opinions he's very publicly shared about Texas. And obviously his, does not shy away from his affinity for the Ohio State University. But yeah. I just think it's interesting because when we've had these discussions, it's mostly been, these lateral movements of guys already in the NFL or involved in the NFL. So for them to say, all right, let's take you from college game day and Saturday night primetime television for Thursday night experiment on Amazon. I don't know. I don't know if I'm him, if I make that move. I mean, I feel like he's got it pretty well made for what he's been doing. So unless he's bored and tired of throughout the year, like college football season, getting to travel to these great college towns and experience that, then I don't know why he'd leave.
Well, board and or money, because as you know, everybody's got their price. So, I mean, if they want to throw enough money at him, he might make the move. But and Shannon, you brought this up last week. We were trying to think of names that have sizzle that could help a football broadcast. And to me, although he's good and he's knowledgeable, and he's a name everybody in football knows, Kirk Herbstreit. I just don't see sizzle with him. You brought up the outside the box Erin Andrews, who, as a sideline reporter, people not only know her for that, and she's credible and knows what she's talking about, but all of her work with Dancing with the Stars. And I think Erin Andrews, if you put her in a broadcast booth, as you suggested last week, I think she comes with not only credibility, but I think she comes with sizzle.
Yep.
In the same way that I think Troy Aikman would bring sizzle to Monday Night Football. I don't feel sizzle with Kirk Herbstreit. I know him. I know who he is. I know he's knowledgeable, but I'm not going to go, ooh, I got to watch this. I got to see how Kirk Herbstreit does on Thursday Night Football. I don't come for the sizzle there. If they got Erin Andrews, I'm there for the sizzle.
Which it says something. Apparently, his contract, he's making about $6 million a year with ESPN, but there is not a loophole, but an opening for him to continue with that contract and continue with his college gig, but do NFL on another network. So he would be able to double dip in that sense. But you mentioned the lack of sizzle. You're going to put him on primetime twice a week? I don't think so.
Yeah, that's it. It's going to be interesting whether or not they go with Herbstreit. It's going to be interesting to see what Amazon does to try to get some attention for that Thursday Night Football, which often. If it's a stinker of an NFL game, which there's no such thing to me because more football is good football, but ratings wise, if you don't have a good matchup, that can be a rough one on Thursday Night Football. We talked earlier, Shannon, about the intersection of the Russian offensive and invasion and bombing of Ukraine and the sports world and athletes from Ukraine who are going to go fight now and are fighting now already for Ukraine. Apparently some fallout with FIFA and the World Cup this summer as well involving Russia.
Yeah. And, FIFA, people have often called it corrupt and kind of almost maybe like the IOC a little bit with the Olympics. For those that have forgotten, 2022, it is a World Cup year for the men's teams, and I believe it's taking place in Qatar. Obviously, U.S. men's national team is looking to get back into the World Cup after being ousted. But the FIFA did announce yesterday that they will allow the Russian team to continue to compete currently as part of the organization. But I believe they have to play their quote-unquote home games at neutral sites. Fans won't be able to attend. They won't be playing under the Russian name. They won't be playing the national anthem, and they won't have the flag. So I don't know Russia's impact on the world of soccer and FIFA. FIFA's as much as it is sport and world sport at that, it is a very political organization, and I don't know what ties Russia has to it. That this kind of feels like the drug thing at the Olympics we had a few weeks ago. Like, listen, you can still play. But you have to play it by different colors, but you still get to play. But again,
that is so weird.
Like we talked about earlier, you can't, the players are not the problem here, right? So, I think it's good that those players are still going to get an opportunity to play, but you as a soccer player, I feel like the ultimate dream is to play in a World Cup and play for your country. I mean, as a kid, when you would have tons of kids on the soccer field during school recess and you team up and you pick your favorite country and you're going to play and you're going to win the World Cup. It's the most exciting thing ever. So to kind of have that stripped of you has to be a little deflating at this point. But yeah, once again, the world of sport intertwining with current events going on.
Yeah, and we'll continue to keep an eye on that and see where else it spills into the world of sports. And geopolitics, you and Andy Everett talked about it last week. Phil Mickelson, his pro-Saudi Arabian comments getting him into hot water, and now it might actually strike him in the pocketbook as well.
Yeah, he had already kind of lost a sponsorship that he was really well known for because it was always on the front of his hat, KPMG. But now we're hearing that Callaway has not ended the relationship with Mickelson, but has currently paused the relationship, and who knows if that will resume or not. And then also Workday was a big sponsor of his, and they have parted ways as well. Not a good time for Phil Mickelson.
So you say they paused the relationship. Does that mean we're going to start seeing other people? I mean, hey, we're still, we're not going to end the relationship. We're just going to see other people. We're Callaway. We're going to start seeing other golfers now, Phil, but we're not done yet. Maybe we'll come back.
So for the life of me, and
That's
I know
weird.
it's because I'm like running on empty, that I remember some other athlete after some scandal, there was a similar, and even celebrities, you've seen it, where they've said, okay, we're going to pause the relationship. It's almost like a nice way of ending it, right? Like, we're going to like figure out where we are, and then they can kind of quietly just never resume that relationship.
Yes.
So to me, that's what this feels like when it says we're going to pause it.
I think you're right. Because if they said, after all the years they had a relationship, and if you think about it, Phil Mickelson has generated revenue for Callaway and vice versa. If they said, we're done, relationship over, that is a huge slap in the face to Phil Mickelson. This way you go, we're going to pause it. And then you go, all right, the reality is we're never coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's almost like when you're going to fire somebody and you go, all right, we're going to fire you, but we're going to publicly let you say you resign.
Yeah.
That's you make a huge point. It does feel like that here.
Yeah.
And we'll, over time, we'll see if that bears out.
The end of Callaway's statement is, at this time, we have agreed to pause our partnership and we will reevaluate our ongoing relationship at a later date. Like, well, I think
good luck with that.
At this
Phil
point, we're
Mickelson.
just waiting for the date, I think.
Yes. All right. We got a lot more to get to. We got to talk more NFL football, and we will. The Indianapolis Colts making some noise, and LeBron James not just getting booed on the court last night at Staples Center as the Lakers lose by 28 points to the New Orleans Pelicans. He's also getting something else, which is a little more positive. We'll tell you what that is as well. And I guess reluctantly, we're going to say farewell to Dave Oehler in the next segment, as we thought we had him till Wednesday. We found out before the show he's leaving today. Wow, Dave Oehler. So coming up, don't go anywhere. Don't miss the final moments of Dave Oehler's Ticket 760 AM 1300 The Zone career, which is coming right up. We're with you till 9. Then Shannon's going to sleep because she just got back from Vegas. You're listening to the Chris Duel Show. Woo! Woo, woo! Oh! So now Taro was in here. I think he's since gone to sleep because it's late in Tokyo. But Taro Kotani, the greatest international Spurs fan, he's got to get a couple of negative tests, COVID tests, to be able to fly out of Tokyo, out of Japan to San Antonio. But it'll be cool to get him back here. Let's see, Fred, what did you say here? Fred says, just got a new phone, so now I have to add everyone to my Facebook friends list. Has anyone had to do this? Sucks now that Sprint is no longer available. I haven't gone through that. That's so weird that Fred, that it doesn't just transfer automatically from one phone to another. I'm unaware of how that works. Woo! Final segment coming up. Here we come. Final segment coming up right now. Dave Oehler's final segment with us. Here we come. I do believe. Woo!
And at Shannon B. Sweeney.
Welcome in. Thanks for hanging out with us. She is Shannon Salty Sweeney, back from Las Vegas, making it through the early morning radio show. Got back in after midnight last night from Vegas. She deserves a medal. I'll go find a Fiesta medal somewhere, Shannon. We will get you a medal.
Oh, and Chris, Brian just came in and said Shannon needs to do another hour of the show.
Okay.
So no going to sleep
We're
after
gonna
the show.
extend 1 hour just for Shannon. So, yeah.
Brian was never my favorite boss. This is why he's number 2.
That's funny. Well, and Shannon, this morning, we thought Dave Oehler was going to be with us at least until Wednesday before he leaves us for a radio station in St. Louis. So I was shocked to learn, as were you, that he's leaving us today at the top of the hour now. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well. Their 28-year-old Pro Bowl left guard, Ali Marpet, yesterday, not a household name because he's a left guard, he's an offensive lineman, but he went to the freaking Pro Bowl last year protecting Tom Brady. At age 28, he suddenly announces his retirement yesterday. He wrote on Instagram, after 7 formidable years with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I've come to the decision to retire from the game. It's given me so much. This organization and the people surrounding it have helped not only fulfill a dream, but also helped me build me into the person I am today. I made Tampa Bay my home, and I look forward to serving this community in the coming years. To the coaches and teammates, families and friends, an Instagram post simply can't express the profound impact you've had on me. I'm eternally grateful. Thank you, Tampa Bay. Ali Marpet, interestingly, came from a Division III school, Hobart College. He was a second-round draft pick out of Hobart College in 2015. And as I mentioned, Shannon, he was due to make $10 million this coming season, and he's walking away from the game of football, much like Dave Oehler is walking away from you and me. Pretty shocking.
Yeah, the pessimist in me is almost like he plays for the Bucks, and you think about where they were when he came onto that team. Probably never would have imagined that he would sniff a Super Bowl, much less win one with Tom Brady. He wins. And then last year was the great return, right? Everybody was coming back. Okay, let's run it back. Let's try to get another one. And when it fell short, Tom Brady says he's done. Do you want to kind of go back to what everyone thinks the Bucks might end up going back to now that the pieces are kind of falling apart, especially when you are a guard and you are the one that's you're not just in the car crash every play. You're causing it. You are part of it. Yeah. And you said he was set to make $10 million this year. Listen, if he's a smart guy, no matter how many millions he's already made, he should be fine. If he manages his money well. So, I don't know about his concussion history and what might be going on there. I think it's kind of a trend that we're seeing more often, that guys are putting their health first. And if they do have enough money made, if they've kind of achieved their goal in their playing career, i.e. winning a Super Bowl, why not get out before you're kind of forced out in a way, which unfortunately a lot of players are.
It'll be interesting. And, if that is the case, and of course, I suspect that he's concerned about CTE and concussions. And you're right. If you make multi-millions of dollars and you invest right and you've got a financial plan in place, you're going to be okay, even though he's walking away from at least $10 million this year. It'll be interesting down the line if he ever reveals that was the reason he left. He didn't want to pound his head and risk more head injuries for the rest of his life. I mean, if you can go in and make some money coming out of Hobart College, make multi-millions of dollars, and then get out at age 28 unscathed or relatively unscathed, that would probably be a good idea. Bad news for the Buccaneers, not only you lose a Pro Bowl left guard, but for those clinging to hopes that Tom Brady might want to come back, one of his best protectors on that offensive line last year now gone. It just makes you wonder if this would further dissuade Tom Brady from coming back. Another football before we go to LeBron James and then say farewell to Dave Oehler, Shannon. The Indianapolis Colts apparently want to change overtime rules. They've got a proposal. What do we know about this?
Yeah, and of all the teams that in the NFL who may want the case, right? The Bills obviously first come to mind. Kansas City Chiefs from their game with the Patriots a few years ago of being the ones to kind of forefront the push to change overtime rules. and allow both teams to get a possession. It's the Colts that have formally submitted this proposition, and it would go for the regular season as well as the postseason. That would allow both teams to get the chance to take a crack at the end zone. If it does go through, whether or not or when it would be put into place, I don't know. But I'm all for it at this point, especially when we did get games like we saw with Kansas City and Buffalo, just the back and forth. I mean, as much as it hurt my heart to keep seeing that and the euphoria and then the disappointment, it just feels weird when you don't give these quarterbacks, the Josh Allens and the Patrick Mahomes, when you don't give them the opportunity to have the ball in their hands.
Yeah. And yet at the same time, and Paul Alexander made the argument, you had chances for 60 minutes
Sure.
with the ball in your hands to win the game. So I do get that. But I think, to have an overtime game end, especially in the playoffs, that one quarterback didn't even touch the ball, I think that's a bad look. So I think, each team gets a possession no matter what. I think, and then after that, especially in the playoffs, we need to go to sudden death. It would still make the coin toss big, but you're going to have to play offense and play defense, and hopefully one way or another figure out a way to win that football game. LeBron James, we mentioned, Shannon, was in the news last night. His Lakers get embarrassed at home at Staples Center by the New Orleans Pelicans. Lakers lose by 28. Crowd boos vociferously like they never have before for the Lakers home team in anybody's memory. Jeannie Buss, as you mentioned, there's video of her leaving the game early in disgust. We'll see if Frank Vogel survives the day today as Lakers head coach. But along with the bad news that's happening for the Lakers right now, some good news for LeBron James and his legacy.
Yeah, LeBron, as annoying as he can be as a player, GM, whatever you want to call him, and the recent discussion of what he might do to get Bronny to be a part of his NBA squad. He's always been a great human being and humanitarian, and we know he's already done so much for his hometown of Akron, of course, with the I Promise School, where kids are getting a great education and a great facility and then being sent off to college as well. The LeBron James Family Foundation announced House 330, which is going to be a 60,000 square foot community hub. It's going to feature places to eat. It's going to feature for the families of I Promise areas where they can get financial education, job training resources, and opportunities for recreation. There's going to be a sports complex that's actually going to be sponsored and supported by Dick's Sporting Goods, which is pretty cool as well. Like I said, place to eat. There's some retail space, bar, lounge, and on the bottom floor, the basement floor, there's going to be a museum dedicated to the life and career of LeBron James, which is, it's quite crazy considering, as a human being, he is still very young. And
yes,
that he's able to do all of this, but that when I think of museums of people, it's usually people that are no longer with us, and he's in his 30s, and it's like, yes, the life and career of LeBron. I'm like, I mean, what are you gonna?
That's almost like the Tom Brady Museum. Yeah.
Like, are you only gonna fill half of it, or what? How are you gonna change out those exhibits? But that's pretty cool. And once again, LeBron giving back to his home community is pretty awesome.
And again, I want to just underscore, you just outlined a lot of the great things LeBron James does for kids, for the community. Never been in trouble with the law. I mean, yes, he's a diva. Yes, he's got a big ego. And I know a lot of you don't like LeBron, but compared to a lot of athletes, for him to have done what he's done his whole life and continues to do to help people and especially help kids from the community he grew up in Akron and in surrounding Ohio communities, it's pretty cool. So if you're a LeBron hater or you dislike LeBron, just at least remember this guy does a lot of good in the world and uses a lot of his blessings to pass on the blessings to others. So just something to remember. All right. We're seeing some people, Shannon, on Facebook Live. Fred Casares Jr. says, hey, Soundscape Stylist Dave O. Great knowing you through the show. Good luck. Jesse Bratton saying, good luck, Dave. For anybody just tuning in, Dave Oehler, this is your final 3 minutes on the show. We're gonna miss you, man. You've been a lot of fun to work with. You're great to work with. You're a great guy. And what is it about the city of St. Louis? Last year they took Scott Manziera from us. Now they're taking you. What's up with that?
Well, it's a great place to live. I'm going home to be with family.
Okay,
going
I'll
home
give
to
you
just be a station that I listened to when I was a kid. I'm going to be doing a midday show, executive producer on a midday show. Still working out, maybe a part of the Cardinals broadcast a little bit.
Cool.
So we're working on that. But I want to say thanks to you and Shannon.
Been fun. Shannon, any farewell words of wisdom for Mr. Dave Oehler?
Words of wisdom. Well, again, we caught us off guard, Dave, because I was hoping to prep something a little bit more than my 4-hour nap. But have really enjoyed working with you. I'm sad you're leaving. It feels very abrupt. I feel very hurt about it. But they're lucky to have you up there in St. Louis, and safe travels, sir. I'm sorry you're leaving this weather. It's about to get warm down here. I don't know what it's like in St. Louis, but to me it sounds cold.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get used to those Midwest winters again, which aren't fun. When I was back last week, it was like the high was like 25 degrees and it was miserable.
Wow.
Hard pass.
But thank you guys. I love you guys very much.
Well, we love you too. And what Shannon just said, she nailed it. They are lucky to have you. It's you are so dedicated, and not only to this show, but long before this show, people may or may not know you have done so much work on the morning news over on 1200 WOAI with Charlie Parker, Tim Merriman, Charity McCurdy, Megan Bishop for so many years was a part of that show. And that has so many moving parts. I sometimes fill in over there. And, compared to what we do, I mean, it's like boom, there's something every 10 seconds. Boom, let's go to this guy in Washington, D.C. Boom, let's go to this financial news. And you as the engineer and the soundscape stylist, you're like at the helm of the Starship Enterprise or the Millennium Falcon, as Mr. Charlie Parker says. And you just do a magnificent job. You're so good at it. You're so dedicated. I'm jealous for the midday show in St. Louis, man. They got a really good one in you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And now we're going to get some bum. Unless we get Jeremy. Hopefully we get Jeremy Kolak. Otherwise, we're going to get some bum off the street. So,
I'm not going to miss those 2:30 a.m. wake-up calls or the Austin traffic or the road construction around here.
I mean, we can still call
I'll never
you.
see him finish 281. Oh, well, thanks. I mean, I'm never going to see him finish 281, but I think we all may be dead and gone before that's all.
We're not going to see him finish 281 or I-35. So, well, if there's ever a huge, big breaking story in St. Louis, especially in the world of sports, Dave, you're going to be our correspondent, man.
Absolutely. I'd love to.
We're going to go to you. So thank you for everything. You've just rocked, and you will continue to do so in St. Louis. Shannon, any final words before you go to sleep and try to sleep off your Vegas extravaganza?
I think I've exerted all the energy I had to give today in the last 3 hours.
There you go. All right. On the way out, once again, I tip the hard hat to Mr. Dave Oehler for a job well done. We are out of here. We'll do this in 21 hours. Shannon will be well rested, but we will be without Dave Oehler. Farewell, Dave. Farewell, everybody. Have yourself a great Monday. We will see you in the month of March. Adios, amigos.